Danish from Metabolic Fitness. In this video, we will be further investigating the effects of intermittent fasting, and I will be teaching you how to apply it to your lifestyle and your fitness goals. Now, you can see that I'm already in the holiday spirit, and so should you. The holidays are a great time, and none of you should be worried about gaining weight or losing track of your fitness goals. That's why Metabolic Fitness is doing this series of videos as our holiday season special to teach you about this new and emerging technique known as intermittent fasting, and there's so much research being done. So now one research study that I wanted to look at is called Calorie Restriction Promotes Mitochondrial Biogenesis by Inducing the Expression of eNOS. And I know that sounds very complicated and scientific, but I'm going to break it down to you and make sure that you understand everything. But before we do, I do want to get serious, so I'm going to take this off. I know it's sad, I look better as Rudolph. But before I start, I just wanted to summarize the results of the study, which is that they found that the mice that they were testing on, so yes, the study is done on mice, the mice that they were testing on, they found two different results. One was that there was an increase in lifespan. Whoa, like, who doesn't want that? I mean, sure, Voldemort, but Voldemort could have just done this. And the other effect that they found was that there was an increase in mitochondria. And yes, I'm not going to assume that everyone knows what mitochondria is. So mitochondria, yes, if you remember from your grade 12 biology class, it is the powerhouse of the cell. Every cell contains mitochondria, or every eukaryotic cell, which is the ones we are focused on. And mitochondria are just organelles in the cell that help to produce energy for the cell's machinery and all of its daily functions. So mitochondria are the location of oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation is just the process that produces energy. Now, energy in the cell is produced in the form of ATP, which is just a storage molecule that holds the energy, so then it can be transported to other parts of the cell, where then other machinery and other processes can use that energy from that chemical, which is ATP, and then do its function. Now, in this study, I just wanted to quickly go over the logistics. So there was two different groups of mice that they were studying. One was the CR mice, or calorie-restricted mice. And calorie restriction is basically just another way of saying intermittent fasting. These mice were fed on alternate days, meaning one day they would eat, the other day they would not, which is a basic form of intermittent fasting. The other mice were called the ad libitum mice, or basically this just means that they were eating whenever they wanted, how much they wanted. And the main thing that they found was that the mice that were calorie restricted actually had 30 to 40% less body weight than the ad libitum mice. I want to look at one of the figures in this paper and really deeply explain what this whole figure is talking about and what the results were. And then I will also look into the reason behind why this increase in mitochondria was occurring and why there was an increase in lifespan. There were two different findings, but they're very related. Directly taken from the paper. Before I start explaining the results, I want to explain to you all the logistics behind this figure. On the x-axis here, you have different you are probably very confused by all these abbreviations, but these first five are just markers that tell you just amounts of mitochondria in a cell, and these have been researched before and directly correlated to mitochondrial levels. Over here you have two proteins, cytochrome oxidase 4 and cytochrome C, and these are actually involved with basically the oxidative phosphorylation process that I mentioned before. They're in the mitochondrial membrane, and so you can look at these levels and see how much protein you have from the mitochondria. Over here you have mitochondrial DNA levels, and mitochondrial DNA is actually different and separate from the cellular DNA, and so they were also looking at levels here. This is basically a Western blot, and this is just showing the protein levels and the experiments that they ran. And so just to explain the results now, you can see that in every one of the markers that tell you the levels of mitochondria and the levels of mitochondrial gene expression, there is an increase in the group that was calorie restricted. And all of these increases are significant, as well as the proteins that we were talking about that are involved in the mitochondria are also increased. And you can also see that the mitochondrial DNA is also increased as well compared to the ad libitum group. So now, what does this mean? Well, this obviously then is directly related to the fact that there is more mitochondrial biogenesis and that there is an increase in mitochondrial gene expression. And this is a great thing, because the more mitochondria you have in tissues, especially such as your muscles, it's going to be a beneficial thing, because then you have more energy being produced and more efficiency in the process of energy production. So now, let's step away from the figure. So I just wanted to explain what eNOS was. And eNOS is the reason why this is happening. eNOS stands for endothelial nitric oxide synthase, and nitric oxide is the product of this protein, and so eNOS is the protein that is found to be the reason why there is an increase in mitochondria. And so they found that when they biogenetically engineered mice that lacked eNOS, and they did the same study on them, they restricted their diet, there was no difference between any of these markers, any of the proteins, and the reason why was because, well, now that there's no eNOS, there's no increase in mitochondrial biogenesis. There were also found to be an increase in citrulline 1, which was directly related to the increase in lifespan. Citrulline 1 gene expression actually is directly related to lipolysis and fat loss. So the reason that there was an increase in lifespan was because there was more fat loss and there was more breakdown of fats, which is great because that's what we're trying to do here, and that's what we want to promote during this holiday season. Now, stepping away from all the science, I want to explain to you why this is so beneficial to you. Well, like me, I love to work out, I'm really into fitness, love to do cardio, but the problem is that when you're running out of energy, that's when you start to fatigue. And so if you can increase the mitochondria in your muscles, in your tissue, in your fat cells, you can actually help to produce more energy and increase the time that you can actually work out and, delay the amount of fatigue or delay the time to fatigue. This is great. It'll help your workouts, it'll help your fat loss, and it'll also help to make sure that you're living a very healthy lifestyle because it saw an increase in lifespan, which basically means that these mice were more healthier than the mice that were eating whenever or whatever. And intermittent fasting is great because you don't have to stop eating your favorite foods. You just have to make sure that you eat them when you're allowed to eat them. You can't eat them every time or every day. You just have to make sure that you're fasting for whatever regime that you're following. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you really enjoyed it and took something from it. We hope you enjoy the rest of the videos from the series, and I just want to remind you to subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Thank you!